Eddie Tuerk, a defensive lineman. So every once in a while, we watch with great glee when Matt gets surprised. So a defensive lineman, 6'4", 255, Lyons Township in LaGrange, offers from Northwestern, Cincinnati, Duke, Iowa, Kansas State, Louisville, Miami, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, Ole Miss, Wisconsin. Eddie Tuerk is the real deal. He is being looked at by everybody. We've got another lineman who's chosen to go to play for Brett Bielema. This is another guy that I think Illinois fans can get excited about, and the lack of depth on the defensive line may offer him an opportunity to play before maybe he might have if he, in different circumstances. But we've got a player here who was wanted throughout the country. Ked, what were your thoughts on Eddie?
Right away, um, I think Iowa, I think Michigan, and I think Miami and Nebraska and Tennessee. That's the first thing that comes to my mind because those are some of the big heavy hitters in college football. I mean, Michigan is playing for a national championship. Illinois was able to get this four-star stud to stay home. I mean, he's 6'4", 265 pounds. I'm just really curious to see, I know Bart Miller and Terrence Jamison both were really involved in this recruitment along with Brett Bielema. This was big, and also, I don't want to exclude Northwestern. We have to, because they really pursued him. So this was a really, really, really important recruit, and it's good the fact that Eddie stayed home. He'll be enrolling in the spring for the University of Illinois. One of the things he talked about was just this coaching staff and how great they were to him, and and also the players. But his play on the field is what I'm really excited to see, and I mean, we talk about development, but I mean, this guy really has pro potential if he lives up to what his billings are.
There are legacy recruits, and then there's Eddie Tuerk. Okay. When your two great grandparents, your grandmother, your two aunts, and your father all have degrees from the University of Illinois, you don't think this young man was getting pressure to go to the, well, let me add another one. His older sister is going to graduate this spring and start her grad school work at the University of Illinois. His high school coach was a former Illinois quarterback named John Butcher. Like at some point, Eddie Tuerk was going to have to come up with a darn good reason to go anywhere else but Illinois. I also will point out, Mike Cagney, I don't think I was the only one that thought Eddie Tuerk was going to get announced on Wednesday as a offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I believe our own Mike Farrell thought that was happening. I believe my buddy John Garcia over at Rivals thought that was happening. When he showed up and his video showed up and I saw Terrence Jamison talking about how he was going to be able to coach him, I went, oh, well, and people need to understand that changed the dynamic for me in terms of Eddie Tuerk's recruitment. It just did, because it is a position of need in Illinois badly. And also, I think that it's the position that Michigan and that all of the other power programs that Ked mentioned specifically, I know that Michigan was probably number two. If he had to line up the rankings of where all the schools took, all of those schools recruited him as a defensive lineman. And Illinois got this kid as a defensive lineman. I really thought this was going in the direction of like Isaiah Williams' recruitment in the Lovie Smith era at Illinois, where everybody, including Alabama, is telling you you're a defensive back and a wide receiver, and Illinois recruits you as a quarterback, and that's why they get you. I was thinking this was going in the way of, well, Eddie Tuerk's going to come to Illinois because they're telling him he can play offensive line. That's not the case. Eddie Tuerk came to Illinois because I think everybody who was in Eddie Tuerk's ear told him to go to Illinois. And also he had the flexibility to do whatever he wanted to do, which is play defensive line. And I think that he has the ability, I'm telling you, the physical ability right now, I think, to play right away at Illinois as a defensive lineman. I'm not saying he's going to start. I'm not saying he's going to be an impact player, but Alex Bray got on the field as a true freshman in the 2023 season. And there were everybody essentially from that 2023 recruiting class at defensive line got on the field in some way, shape, or form. So whether it's using up all the 4 games and then making a decision, I think that definitely could happen here. But Eddie Tuerk is going to arrive at Illinois in the spring with an opportunity to make an impact going into preseason camp at a defensive line position that is in desperate need of talent up front for Terrence Jameson's group. I think this is a big time get for Illinois because they did the thing Ked knows that I've been asking Illinois to do for years. Win recruiting battles over significant power opponents and also do it with at the most limited position you can in the Midwest, which is defensive line. You saw last year that Terrence Jameson really didn't get it done in the 2023 recruiting class at defensive line, especially with in-state talent. Eddie Tuerk flips that because he immediately comes in and allows Terrence Jameson to say, I can get big-time in-state defensive linemen to stay home because I got this kid to do it.
Yeah, this is another player that there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic for him. You know, we're not going to come and tell you that somebody, you know, we're not going to just you know, rainbows and sunshine and everything. But this is a player that there's definitely some long-term potential, and we've been able to say that about quite a few of the players that are this year. And the long-term potential is both what the player's done on the field, coupled with the people who are providing them offers. There's no guarantees of success, but we do know that there's a long record of Coach Bielema being able to develop players, which definitely is part of the reason for our optimism.